What up, what up? New York here. In my opinion, there's two types of people. There's the people who believe the system is just and right and always does the right thing. And then there's people who know the truth. And the truth is, no matter how crooked, corrupt you think the system might be, it's about 5,000 more times corrupt. Maybe even more than that. The system is built to be corrupt. It's just like you would be if you were a father. The government's the same way. They just protect their own. They protect their own little station, their own little tribe. Do you think they're trying to protect us? That's not how it really works. So being I'm on this YouTube stuff now, I've been talking to a lot of people all over the country. Now, when it comes to some stories, I thought they were national news, national headlines. I can't even believe it's not. I'm going to talk about something today. Let me know if you heard about it, because the couple people I spoke to that never heard about it, that makes me want to throw up. It's disgusting. If a bear shits in the woods, it's on national news, but this wasn't? How could that be? Did maybe people miss it? Or was it they wanted to hide the story? Because the truth of the matter is, the system failed miserably once again. We're going to talk about today Michael Valva and Angelina Polina. Michael Valva was a New York City cop. He was married to a Polish immigrant. He had some kids, 3 to be exact. That didn't work out. He got divorced and he married Angelina Polina. It might have been his living girlfriend at the time, but they got married. So, she has 3 kids. He has 3 kids. They had a regular fucking Brady Bunch. They have a nice house on Long Island. He drives in and out of the city. He's a cop. They're doing their thing. From the outside, everybody must say, wow, these guys both had rough lives, but they got it together. They found each other, because that's the way they tried to make it look, though that didn't even work too well. You see, Michael Valva, one of his 3 sons, Thomas Valva, little 8-year-old boy, was autistic. You would think as a father, as a cop, he would have compassion, love for his son. You would think because he had autism, he would treat him special, bring him to the right schools, get him the right doctors. You know, this is your blood, this is your son. But that's not how it went. Little Thomas Valva was just a thorn in Michael's ass. Not to mention his living girlfriend hated the kid. You know, she had her daughters, that's all she gave a shit about was her daughters. Michael loved his other sons, not as much as you should as a father, but little Thomas was always in the way. Being he had autism, he would pee himself sometimes. Little kids do that. It's sad. You know, you bring the little man over, you give him a hug, you clean him up. Maybe you try to talk to him and see why he did it, whatever it might be. What you don't do is pull his pants off and hose him down in the backyard like he's a fucking dog. Because that's what this guy did time and time again. Now let's get into the truth and how the system failed him. His real mother, who I said was a Polish immigrant, used to call CPS all the time. All the time. My son is being beat. My kids are being mistreated. He's not feeding my kids. He's hurting my kids. He's torturing my son. There was over, I think, 50-something complaints just in a year. But guess what? I told you, she's a Polish immigrant. She was actually a guard on Rikers Island. I'll give her a lot of credit for that. But being she was a Polish immigrant and he was a New York City's finest, New York City cop, who do you think they believed? They believed him. To make matters even worse, she's not even the only one who raised the red flag. Many people did, and the system just ignored it. Little Thomas had teachers calling CPS saying, Thomas is coming to school wearing the same clothes for a week. Thomas is coming to school with urine all over himself. Thomas is trying to eat out of the garbage. He's so hungry. He would actually bring notes to school in which his father would write on the note, my son's in trouble, don't feed him. Obviously, the teachers fed him. But this is the type of stuff that was being done to this little kid. They were torturing him, literally torturing him. If you see an 8-year-old eating out of a garbage can, and as a teacher you report that, CPS better do something. When it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks, he's wearing the same clothes, he's coming to school smelling like urine, coming to school with bruises on his face, sometimes not coming to school at all. And you're calling, the principal's calling, everybody's calling CPS, calling the state, but nobody's doing nothing. So now you have teachers calling, you have the principal calling, you have his actual mother calling. Gets even worse. Neighbors seeing what this father was doing to his son, seeing him outside being hosed down. They called. Again, Nothing was done. Why do you think? Because when you call, who shows up first? The police, right? What are the cops going to say when they knock on the door because they got a call from, let's say, the neighbor or his ex-Polish wife? Knock on the door, he answers the door. It's a fellow cop, it's a brother in arms. You think they're going to give him any slack? They're going to tell him, we know they're lying. We know, ex-wives can be a bitch. We know the neighbors are just nosy. He was digging through the garbage, he's autistic. That's just what they do. It sounds crazy, sounds disgusting. It is disgusting, but it's not that crazy because it really did happen. On the fateful day, good old Michael Valva, Mr. New York City's police officer's finest, calls the police himself in the morning. He says that his son, little Thomas, slipped on the driveway and banged his head. He's not waking up. With that, the cops come, the ambulance comes. It's a big medical scene. He's telling them he fell. We're trying to help him. They bring him to the hospital. Thomas dies. Michael is playing the so hurt parent. I just lost my son. Oh my God. Fucking Angelina, whatever the hell her name is. Actually, it was Angela Polina. She's playing the same thing. She's saying, I loved him like my own son. He was great. Keep in mind, when I said he was torturing him, so was she. She was actually part of the reason, because she used to tell him how much she hated her son and how much his son was ruining everything they had planned for her daughters and the other two kids. She would starve him too. She was just as evil as him. They were a couple that was made in hell. So, back to it. I just wanted you to know how bad she was too, that this little kid really had nobody. So while they're crying and complaining and how their son slipped and fell their head, they're going to do an autopsy, right? You want to know what the autopsy revealed? It turns out one of Michael Valva's favorite things to do to his poor autistic 8-year-old son when he was bad or when he peed himself or when he wanted to eat was make him sleep in the garage. They actually even had a mat on the floor for him, like a dog, a water bowl, a mat, and a garage. The problem with New York weather in the winter, it's fucking freezing, and the garage had no heat. So the truth is, he never slipped and hit his head, or if he did, it was for a big reason. He was forced to sleep in the garage many nights, but on the night prior, he peed himself. They made him sleep in the garage in sub-zero temperature. Poor little Thomas had hypothermia. He was barely conscious in the morning. Now, you might say, how do you know that? I'll get into that in a minute. But for now, he was barely conscious. They were trying everything to wake him up, throwing water on him, smacking him, just shaking him. And he eventually went down in the driveway and he died from the hypothermia. He died from malnourishment, was on the report. He had different beatings and different scars on him. But he fell in the driveway, right? Nowadays, with technology, what you say ain't always what it is. You see, the Valva family had the Ring alarm and Ring cameras, and the police were able to pull this footage as well as some Amazon Alexa recording conversations. What they saw on these videos were the stuff of horror movies. Good old Michael Valva, good old Michael the cop, Michael the fucking hero of New York City. Wasn't too big of a hero at home. He was beating his son. He was hosing him down, like I told you, forcing him to sleep in the garage, not letting him eat if he peed himself, torturing this kid. They watched video after video after video, audio record between him and his fucking horrible Angela Polina piece of shit about how they wanted to get rid of him, how he was ruining everything. They would call him a retard. They would call him names. This kid was 8 years old and had autism. Meanwhile, the actual mother, the poor Polish immigrant, Justina Zubko, she wanted the kids. She was trying to get them back. She's been fighting Michael for years. He didn't even really want the kids. It was one of those chess pieces. I'm not giving you the kids. Why am I going to give you the kids? This is my kids. Every time it went to court, he would win. This poor mother wanted to save her kid so bad. When I seen the news and seen her crying, it was hysterical. One of the first things we did, because she had no money, being she was trying to raise kids, have a house, do whatever she was doing. She was renting at the time, but she was just a part-time corrections officer. We reach out to the family. He was being buried at a cemetery near us, and we offered to do a headstone for free. It turns out in this situation, there was many people on his side. We called the second day. Truth of the matter is, they already got about 10 phone calls from the same thing. The people who do headstones in New York, it's like a family. If somebody needs it, they're going to make a call. We don't want publicity. We don't want none of that. We don't put our names on it. And they made him a headstone. That headstone is in a cemetery that I'm at 2 to 3 times a week. And at least one of those times, I'll stop there. I'll bring flowers. I'll stop there to talk. I brought a fire truck. I bought him Christmas presents. Every time I go there, there's little trucks and toys just from the community, from his mother. But think about this poor mother. She came from another country for a better chance in this world. Sorry, there was somebody at my door. But as I was saying, she came here because Poland, there was no work, there was no real life. In order to have a life, she saw America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, a place she can have a family and possibly make it. Little did she know she would marry somebody involved in the system and they protect their own. Think about the living nightmare of knowing your son is being tortured on a daily and nightly basis, knowing that you reach out for help to the CPS and the police that are designed exactly for this, and they do nothing. And it's not even like, oh, she's crazy, the mother's just nuts, she's a crazy Polish lady. They were getting reports from the school, from teachers, from neighbors. Nobody did anything. In the long run, Michael Valva got what was coming to him. Him and his horrible fucking girlfriend were both found guilty of murder. Sentenced to 25 years to life. Currently, Michael Valva is up in Elmira maximum security prison in New York. He is in protective custody. But a lot of people talk about this and say, oh, nothing's going to happen to him. He's in protective custody. PC cost a lot of money, folks. The reason they put certain people in it is because they're hot news stories, or he's a cop and they don't want nothing to happen to him. But the idea is, keep him in PC for a couple years, let the story die down, and then we'll put him into general population. This is why when you see a lot of chomos and all these PDF files wind up getting it, it's always a couple years later, because they start in PC and eventually they get put in general population. Now, Michael Valva might be in maximum security in PC, but I assure you, there's going to come a time when you open the paper and either see he's been attacked or he's dead. I'm hoping he gets attacked and don't die. Death is too easy. I'm hoping they put him into a regular general pop and they just beat him and hurt him and take his manhood from him and turn him out day after day after day for the rest of his life. He can't get away dying. That's too easy. And these guys know that. Think about all the parents in the world who would love to have, I should say, all the people in the world who can have kids, who would love to have children. They would do anything for them. Think about all the parents who love their children unconditionally. Here's this guy, has 3 kids, one of them's autistic, his girl has 3 kids, they all live together. He hates his son to the point he's going to torture him. And he hates his ex-wife to the point he won't even give her the kid. He'd rather torture him. I hate this kid, but I'm going to torture him and not let his mother get him. A sick, sick individual. But I'm very curious, very, very curious, if any of you heard of this. And where you are, which state, comment and let me know. Because the people I spoke to didn't hear about it, didn't know about it. How does this not make national news headlines? A cop tortures and murders his autistic son with his girlfriend, and this ain't on national newspapers? The only reason I can ever see that happening is because the system failed him so badly. Because the guy was a cop and the system protected him. And I'm very curious if they went so far to keep it out of the papers everywhere but local. But yeah, to me, that's the sickest individual and the worst crime that happened in New York in the last decade at least. He will get what he deserves. He hasn't got it yet, but he'll get it one day, and he'll get it for eternity. For now, New York, signing out. Now go hug your kids. Let them know you love them. That's what life's really about. Peace.